Hey yo, welcome back to Glorious Vibes. Again, super excited to be here today. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day all around. It's really awesome. It's calm. It's not too hot. It's just about the right temperature, and definitely exciting. So before I continue, I would like to encourage you to make sure you're subscribe, and please share, and share your comments and your ideas. And as I always say, we're here to share vibes, and we're here to share positive vibes. And so just want to make sure that we're kind of participating and sharing those vibes together. And so I'm encouraging you to subscribe, and definitely make sure you like, so that you don't miss any of my future videos on Glorious Vibes. And so today's vibe is inspired by this guy, named Sayed Sadaat. He was former communication minister in Afghanistan, and just by accident, saw his story. Currently he lives in Germany, and he currently delivers pizza, right? And that was fascinating to me and inspiring at the same time. I saw some people commenting and saying it's really sad. How can somebody who was like a minister in his country, right, be delivering pizza? I mean, this guy is on a bike, right? Is a former minister, former government official, on a bike delivering pizza. I'm pretty sure some of the people that he delivers pizza for, majority of them probably don't even know, right? They don't even know that he was a high government official back in his country. And that's a story for a lot of like immigrants who come to this country, to the U.S. and to Canada and to kind of Western Europe, to any place, right? You've got doctors right now who are doing social work. You've got doctors in their countries. They get here and they are dishwashers, right? And so you've got all kinds of stuff. And this is not like a new story. This is a reality of what's out there, right? People who come from their countries, and they they had really high level positions in jobs, and they end up being just having really really small jobs, right? And I can only imagine how hard that must be. I can only imagine how depressing that must be, right? Think about this. You're in charge of a hospital in your country, and you get here and suddenly you are in a hospice, and you are the dishwasher. You're not even in charge of the kitchen. You're washing dishes, right? I mean, can you imagine the impact of that on people? And those are some of the stories that often you don't get to hear about immigrants, right? More often you hear some really bad, terrible stories about immigrants. They're criminals, and they do this and they do that, and there is a lot of them. There are many immigrants who come here, former high-level government officials, former high-level educated in their countries, who are doing job every day. They are cashiers in stores. They're like courtesy clerks at some store somewhere, right? But that's kind of like that's a side point. I wanted to just stay on this story because it inspired me. As an immigrant myself, right? As a former immigrant myself, that the story just inspired me and made me thinking. My mind just went in so many different directions, and so, I just wanted to kind of just share a little bit about this, in this vibe. It's not going to be about Sayed Sadaat. But it's his story that inspired me, again, to see a high-ranking government official in his country who could have easily just say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I can't do this, right? And you've heard stories about like people who used to be like CEO, and the economy crashes, and because of the fear of the humiliation, they end up taking their lives, right? Because they just cannot leave, that what they see as a common life. They can't do that, right? But you see somebody who is inspiring in this case, right? A former high-ranking official who decides, you know what, I'll do whatever it takes, and that's really important. So when I read Sayed's story, my mind just went in so many different directions. I remember Dr. Martin Luther King talking about, if your job is to sweep the streets, make sure you do it so well. Like basically be proud in sweeping the street. Do it so well that the host of heaven, or those who pass by afterward, would say, there used to be here a street sweeper who did his or her job, or their job, really, really well, with passion and pride, right? And so listening to reading Sayed's story kind of just took me to Dr. Martin Luther King's quote about being proud, taking pride in one's work, taking pride in work and taking pride in doing work. And that's something that honestly I think in some ways is getting lost. I see a lot of this mindset of I deserve better, which is good. But the problem is when I deserve better is not followed with I'm going to work for better, right? I deserve better is one thing. The next thing should be, and I'm going to work for better. Not I deserve better, and I'm going to be given better regardless of what I do. I don't have to work for better to get better, because I'm going to get better, because better, I am entitled to better. That's why I have a problem with. But again, that's another thing for another day. Where my mind went, my thoughts went in so many different directions when I thought about, Sayed's story. I thought about the idea of just earning a living, right? Earning a living. Earning a living and being proud of that. Not just earning a living, but earning a living and being proud of earning a living. And I got thinking, right? I got thinking so much about that, the idea of earning a living and being proud of it. And I remember, my mind went back to my days in college when I was just getting started with college. Let's just say about 20 years ago. And I remember being on food stamp. And I can't tell you how hard that was for me. I was young, just a young boy starting out with my life, and, wanted to be independent, really wanted to kind of like earn my living. And I needed help. And I was willing to ask for help, and I wasn't hiding from help. But I needed help, and I was willing to ask for help that was going to be temporary. But I remember every time I had to go to the store. Like I never went to I hardly went to the store during the day because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to stand in line and to see people behind me and waiting in line, and these people seeing me pay with a food stamp card. That was hard for me. That was very hard for me, right? This is where the idea of earning a living becomes really important, because there's a lot of pride that is associated with that. When you are using what you've earned in life, it's completely different. You feel proud, right? Versus even when you need help. And I'm talking about this if you really you are a pride person, right? And for me, it was hard that I could stand in that line and be waiting there with a food stamp card to wait in line, and my sense of pride would just not let me. Even when I went at midnight, I was always self-aware, looking back behind my back, like who's standing there? What are they gonna think about me? Like I have a food stamp card. that I'm coming to buy food. Again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I needed it. I needed it in a moment. But there was a sense of pride in me that a part of me felt like I wasn't earning. Like there was a part of me that felt like I am technically begging, a beggar. You don't have to feel this way. I'm not saying everybody who's on food stamp is that way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, personally, there was a sense of that. That's the reason why I was going to shop. I was going shopping, buying for food late at night, at midnight, at 1 o'clock in the morning, because I just did not feel like I was earning a living. Of course, now I go to the store whenever I want to, because I own a bank card, right? And I'm proud to kind of flash it. It's mine. What's there is mine. I've earned it. I've worked for it. With the blessing of the living God, of course, the undeserving grace of God. But I've earned that. I go to work every day. I'm blessed to have a work. It is a privilege to have a job, because I know also there are challenges with that. I'm not trying to minimize that. I'm saying that when I was going through that episode, every day I told myself, I can't wait to get off a food stamp. Every day I was motivated even more to say, I can't wait. And I lasted on food stamp, I think it was for 4 months. It was right after I finished my first quarter of school and I figured the routine. I got a second job. And the whole point of getting a second job was what? So that I could get off food stamp. I was just too proud of myself, right? I wanted to earn a living, and it didn't matter what I did. I can tell you what I did. Well, I can tell you what I did. I was a courtesy clerk, but I was also cleaning bottles, recycling. And some of those things really stunk. Like people were bringing things that people peed in them for me to recycle, right? But you know what? I was okay with that. I was okay with that because that was important. I was earning a living. That was the money that I'd earned through hard work myself. And that's really important, right? And so the idea of earning a living is really, really important. And even to today, I keep thinking the same way, right? It's like every single year there is an improvement. Like I'm looking forward to an improvement every single year, because I never ever want to go back to that space where I felt like, I was actually I was just riding on somebody else's whatever they have earned, right? I needed to do my own. I needed to be my own person. So I admire Sayed a lot when I think about that, and I just think about, wow, here's a person who could easily say I give up on life, or who could easily say, you know what, I don't care. I don't want to do this. I am a high-ranking official, and do something crazy. But he decides it doesn't matter. I'm going to earn my way to life. Just very inspiring, right? And second thought that came to mind, he could have looked back to life and say, sometimes you look back to life with regret, where you look back and you say, wow, I can't believe, like, I used to be this big person. I used to be this important person. I used to own this big mansion. I used to ride in big car. I used to have security. There's all that I used to, a lot of them, all of us, me included, right? When I look back and I'm like, it's so easy to get caught up into that. You look back and you say, I used to be, my family used to be. We used to be this and that and that and that. So easy. And that is so depressing, because often that becomes a barrier. I used to be this, I used to own that. It becomes a barrier, right? It becomes a barrier, total barrier. It's important to look forward other than look backward. It's good to look backward and to say take some inspiration from backward looking, but not dwelling on backward, not dwelling on the past. Focus on the future, on what's ahead. Focus on what's ahead. Take inspiration for what his past is, because the past is gone, can't come back. But focus on what is next. And so that's really, really important, because, like I said, I've seen stories of people who kill themselves. because the recession, and they lost so that $400,000 salary job a year, and they can't. They used to ride on maybe a Maserati or a Tesla something, and they cannot see themselves driving like a Nissan or a Toyota or something, right? And so they decide to end their lives because they dwell on the past and not look toward the future. As long as you have life, you have your ability, you can breathe, there's a future. As long as you have your health, there is a future. You just need to look forward to the future. Less on the past, more on the future. And that's really important to do. And that's the thing that I admire when I was reading this story, is here's somebody, again, who's important, decided all that stuff is in the past. I'm going to focus on the future because the future is more important, right? Because the future has got more important things. Because the future may be double what the past has been. It also reminds me the story of Job in the Bible, right? Where he lost everything, including his own kids. He lost everything. The only thing he was left with was his naked body and a wife. That was it. But then when he got everything back, it was double what he had before. So there is always hope. There's always hope. And that hope is up to us. We have to be able to believe in hope, to see hope. It's there. The future is there. For me, as a Christian and somebody who believes in God, my hope is in God. My hope is in Jesus, right? And once I have that settled, then I look toward the future with strength, with optimism, because I know the future is going to be better. But the point is, Sayed looked to the future. He did not look to the past. He did not look, he's not looking at what used to be. He's looking at what is to come. So I want to challenge you right now. Whatever the situation is, I know a lot of people lost their jobs because of this pandemic, and there's a lot of things. Look to the future. You may be surprised about what's in store for you in the future. The past is past. It's gone. There is no change in the past. It is gone. You can't bring it back. If you want the best way to get depressed, to really depress yourself, is look at the past. Look at yesterday. What was so good about yesterday? And you will see how depressing that is. So be self-motivated and look to the future. Think about the future. You still have life, right? And all the things of the past can come back double, triple, quadruple. It's a mindset, like I said. The other thing that got me thinking, as I thought about, what has been and what is in front of us, and is the idea of facing the challenges of life head on. Not taking shortcuts, not trying to avoid things, but just really taking on the challenges of life head on. Because that's what life is about. Life has its own challenges. We see them every day. We face them every day. And that's the beauty of living life. I appreciate challenges because I think that there's just something about challenges that are like extraordinary. They get you thinking. They get you becoming creative, right? The day you lose challenges is the day that I think you stop thinking. And that's the thing with me. I realize that for me is I start to switch jobs when I start to get bored. When the thing that I'm doing more often becomes routine and I'm starting to feel bored. Like if I know what I'm going to do Monday through Friday, every single day, it becomes boring because my brain is not being challenged. And that's true for me for the challenges of life, right? Again, when I think about this story, I'm thinking about the challenges of life, that we have to face life challenges. They are there. They are there to help us grow. They are there for us to be able to face them head on. You can't run away from them. They are always there. The most important thing is to face those challenges head on, to take them on. And surely and eventually you overcome them, because they force you to be creative. They force you to think differently. They force you to see things differently. They force you to do things differently. You start to think about like your ability to think, creativity just expands. When you make up your mind that, you know what, I'm not running away, I'm going to face you on head on with pride and determination. I mean, this guy's delivering pizza on a bicycle, not even on a car, on a bicycle. Can you imagine that? Think about an Afghan who was in Germany and used to know him, used to see him just on TV and admire him from a distance. Suddenly call, hey, Papa Mafia, I would like to order pepperoni pizza. All right, it should be there in 30 minutes. And boom, the guy knocking at your door, you look at him as like, Minister Sadaat? Yes. Oh, call me Sayed. Like, for real? Right now? Oh my gosh. You used to be on TV and I used to admire you. Were like this big. Yeah. Right? Can you think about it? Imagine that for a second, right? But all of those things is put behind him. His focus now is in the future, building a new life, building a better life, being better than now, facing what's now for a good life for tomorrow. And that's the thing for me was where I was like, you know, I may be feeling this way, but I never want to feel this way again. I never want to feel this way again. That was my determination. I never ever wanted to use a food stamp card again. I never ever want to feel like, you know what, I needed to be in some kind of housing or government subsidized housing. Again, there is nothing wrong with that. We all need help in different ways, right? My point is, for me personally, I ended up there and then I just told myself, I'm going to work my hardest, never ever to be here, never ever to feel like my pride was taking a hit, never ever to feel embarrassed to go buy food. You know what I mean? Because there's a sense of that, like that ability to just feel that way. I never wanted to experience that, never wanted to feel that way. And so I took that in pride, and I took the challenge of life with pride. What's fascinating and interesting is there's a guy who used to laugh at me, you know, back when I was starting work again. When I was in the back recycling those cans, and this guy was a cashier, and he used to laugh at me, like, man, wow, that's some really tough job, and like just make fun of it. But you know, I just used to laugh it off. But it did hurt me. It did hurt me inside. And that was an extra motivation to say, you know what? I never ever want anybody to treat me this way. He wasn't treating me bad. He was just making fun of the fact that I was recycling cans in which people had peed in. And by the time I was done, some of those things, the smell of beer and all of that stuff, splash everywhere, and I was stinking going home. But that was my job, and I took it with pride, right? But I never ever wanted to have to experience that. And so I was gonna work the hardest I could not to be comfortable in that space. I wanted to be better. What's funny is 10 years down the road, I find myself driving my nice car at a car wash, and I see the guy. He's the attendant at the car wash. This is a real story, right? He sees me and he calls me by the name that he used to call me. He's like, is that you? I was like, yeah. Oh, you are? Oh, man. It's been a long time. Wow, you work here now? He looks at me like, wow. What happened? I'm like, yeah, we can catch up on that later. So I ended up leaving him a tip. But he was washing my car. Because I remembered being in the back. And I remembered never ever wanted to experience or feel that again. So I wanted to face the challenges of life head on, right? It's that you need some motivation and determination. Don't let your situation now defeat you. Use that as a motivation to never have to feel that again. I'm not saying doing stupid stuff or doing illegal things. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying work hard. I worked hard, my butt off. And for me, I was like, you know what? Education is one of the ways. I was gifted athletically, but I was also gifted in terms of just being smart. And so one of those things had to work for me. And I needed to figure out a way to be able to get a living in a way that I never had to experience that, or to feel inferior, or to feel a certain way about how I live life, where I could show up in a place and say, you know what? This is mine. This is my card. I'm paying, and be proud of it, right? And not feel scared of who's behind the line for me, right? So important to face the challenge of life head on. And this is another thing that story inspired me to think about, just sharing with you today. Don't let the now defeat you. Take the now and use the now to inspire you for a better future. Face it. Do it well, do it better, and take that, motivate yourself, find where your strengths are. Exploit that. Use that. Don't try to rush through it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. Give it time, but work toward it. Be determined, be motivated, push your way through, push yourself harder. Get to that better place. Don't allow yourself to accept the now and to say, you know what, it is what it is. It is not what it is. You have the power to change it. You just got to believe, and you just got to say, this is not enough. This is not good enough. I don't want to experience this. Now, if you are where you are and you're comfortable experiencing that, that's a different story. Same thing with being in an apartment. I remember people knocking at the door and coming to do those, what do they call them? Like just walk around, walk through to make sure nothing is broken. And I just used to think like, oh my gosh, the people are going to come through my bedroom and all that stuff, like, you know, my privacy. And that used to hurt me a lot. It did hurt me. And I always just say like, you know what? I need my own house. I don't want to ever have to experience this. Like I said again, you can't be complacent, right? There's a place where you got to be able to say enough is enough. It's not okay. I don't want to have to experience this, and use that as fuel, as motivation for you to get better, to move better, and to do better. I mean, it's just that simple. But you have to be able to see those things as not okay and use those as a fuel for you to move up, right? And then finally, being proud of the now. That's the other thing that was just like, wow. And I've spoken about this before. I just thought about, again, this guy, Sayed. I'm just like, and he's so proud. I mean, like, he put on his helmet, jumped on a bike, and put on that backpack on, his, full of pizzas, and he's gone. He's proud of the moment. He's proud of the now, because he is thinking about that tomorrow. I hear, like in the interview, he was talking about, being British Afghan, and just moving to Germany because of the IT sector there. He's doing that, and also taking classes, right? He's taking like 4 hours every day to study and learn German. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy. I remember myself when I first got here. I took a whole year of English. A whole year of English. I came in, I wasn't even speaking English. I know how to speak French, but like I had to take a year to perfect my language. Those are the things that I'm talking about when you're thinking about tomorrow. When you think about tomorrow and your mindset is focused on tomorrow, when you're focused on getting better, when you're not satisfied with today, when you look at today and you feel like, today is a stepping stone, nothing is going to get in your way. I remember working 2 jobs, going to school full time, which almost killed me, by the way. That was a little crazy, but I had to push it, right? But it's those things that I'm talking about, right? Where I'm just like, I was so determined never to have to feel that way, to be in that situation where I just like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to be to where I need to be. And so I hear his story. He's already thinking there's IT, there's communication. I also know a country in which a future looks bright in. And I want to be there, right? Very important, being strategic, right? Things that you're not doing things randomly. You are doing things strategically, right? You're doing things strategically. You're looking at, what you want for the future. Which is another really important piece where you need to know what you want for the future, because if you don't know what you want for the future, then you can't look toward to any future. You have to want to know what is it that you want for the future, and then work toward that future that you want. But always striving to be better, always striving to make improvement. Never be comfortable where you are, but always wanting to work harder and to be better, and definitely using the now, while you do the now with an eye toward the tomorrow, and that's really, really important. And again, I'm going to go back to that Martin Luther King quote about, a street sweeper, right? And that could be a street sweeper, that could be a dishwasher, that could be a cleaner, that could be an attendant, that could be a courtesy clerk, whatever that is, right? Those places, or a burger flipper or something, right? That place is starting place. Don't let that place hold you down. Don't let that place be a place of comfort, because there's more that you can do. There are greater things that you can do. And I would say the same thing. If you are a director somewhere and today you are just a manager or just a specialist because you lost your job and you are right here today where you are, it doesn't change anything. You could be a CEO tomorrow, better than a director, right? You could be a CEO tomorrow, but just because you were a director and then there's a much lesser job that is available, you don't turn it down. No. Take it with an eye toward the future. Take it with pride. Do it well. In smaller things, you start to see some of those things improving, increasing your ability. In smaller things, you excel. In bigger things start to happen. But you have to have those convictions, right? You have to be able to believe. You have to be able to trust in your abilities. You also have to be able to say, the past is a past. It is there. And not really care much about the past, but using the past to be able to step into the future. That's all I had today for the vibe for this time around. I thank you for, again, coming up and joining me and sharing in this moment. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and share your comments down, and share your stories if you have stories. Invite others to come and join in. Definitely make sure you like so that you don't miss my next video. Until next time, I appreciate you for being here. I'll see you next. Ciao. Thank you.